Hi and welcome to another week of WWMF Sunday School. This week we are going to look at Corinth. Where do we read about this? Well, if you have your Bibles, you can turn to Acts chapter 18, verse 1. It states, Apostle Paul departed from Athens and went to Corinth. Right, here are some facts for you. Right, did you know Corinth lies 56 miles west of Athens on the narrow strips of land between the Peloponnesus and the Greek mainland? If you look at the map, you will see where Apostle Paul actually traveled from Athens and how he traveled to Corinth. Number 2, Corinth was a city of wealth and luxury. It was a big economic centre of trade, a major port naval fleet with its growing population that reached more than 300,000 free citizens and 460,000 slaves in the 2nd century AD. And also Apostle Paul visited Corinth for the first time on his 2nd missionary journey. And you'll read about this in Acts 18. He became acquainted with Aquila and Priscilla, fellow Christians and like himself, tent makers. And it's important to note at this point that he associated with fellow Christians. And that's what, it'd be good for us to do today, is that we associate ourselves with other believers. And Apostle Paul actually went to live with Aquila and Priscilla and stayed with them for 1.5 years in Corinth. Why is it important to understand this information? Well, it is important to know that Corinth was a city that Paul actually visited, a real place where people currently live today. However, during Paul's time in Corinth was a place that worshipped other gods. Paul strategically went to Corinth as a missionary to share the gospel message, and many people repented of their sins and became followers of Jesus. Isn't that good news? What is God trying to tell us through this story? Well, through Paul's experience of going to Corinth, we learn that God was with Paul. It's also important to note it was God that used Paul to witness to the people in Corinth. Paul was obedient and faithful to the call of God upon his life. We are all called to be like Paul. The very place where we live, God can use us to share the good news about Jesus. So even now, think about where you live and how you can be a witness for Jesus and how you can pray for your area, the place where you are. So what can we learn from this? Well, number 1, to trust God. And again, when you read Acts 18, you will see how God spoke to Paul through a vision. Number 2, Paul went to a place unknown to him, but was prepared to step out by faith to share the gospel message. And number 3, through Paul's obedience and call of God on his life, he ministered to people of Corinth. He ministered, to the people of Corinth, and many became followers of Jesus. Right, your homework for this week. We want you to look up one more fact about Corinth, and also we would like you to draw or cut out any maps, buildings, landscapes of Corinth. And also we would like you to read. So Paul wrote letters to the church in Corinth. What are the names of those letters that Paul wrote to the church in Corinth? Find these books in the Bible, and we would like you to read the first chapter. And finally, we want you to fill out the worksheet. Write down the facts you have found. And lastly, describe what you discovered in your own reading. See you next time. Bye for now.